rapper Dee-1 is making shockwaves throughout the hip hop industry. If you don't know who Dee-1 is, Dee-1 is a Christian rapper that is from Louisiana who went viral or became popular from his song Paid Sally Mae Back that came out years ago about how he paid off all his student loans, right? And that's kind of my first real introduction to who he was as an individual. He's a professor at Tufts University. He was a teacher. He's been in the community, things of that nature. But within the past, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks, he has sent shockwaves throughout the hip hop industry for calling out rappers like Jim Jones, Rick Ross, and Meek Mill. Now, what I'm coming to you today about is specifically about what he has said, and then now how Jim Jones has responded, right? Now, we're gonna look at what Dee-1 has sort of said. He's done whole interviews about it. There's several clips on his Instagram about it that's gone viral many times over, right? So I'm not gonna dig into exactly what it is he's saying, but more so his approach, and then we're gonna look at what Jim Jones says, right? So I believe that what Dee-1 is talking about is real, it is valid, and he has truth to what he is saying. I just believe his approach and what he's saying about these individuals in order to call them out, or in order to get them to confront themselves, in order to get the hip-hop industry to confront itself, is just a bad idea.
With that being said, it's the OGs who I like to call DGs, because they're disappointing grown-ups. That's what they are.
So he calls them disappointing grown-ups.
It's the OGs in hip-hop. It's the ones that's 40-something years old, and man, I hate when I see these gray-haired clout chasers who still talking about, and I send my young boys to come and wet your whole block up, and da-da-da, and they still glorifying this. I look at with a Jim Jones, you could do better, brother. I love you too much. I love you too much to not be honest with you. Rick Ross, you could do better, brother. Meek Mill, you could do better, brother. I love you too much not to be honest with you. Are you the face of prison reform? Because are you the face of prison reform? Or are you sitting here on your new song with Ross talking about getting somebody murked and shot at the red light? Which one is it, bro? Which one is it, bro? Because I did a shoe giveaway in my city and gave out 1,300 pairs of your shoes because they said reform underneath them. And I love that you partnered with a major shoe company and you out here pushing prison reform. With that being said, it's prison reform. But now I got to sit here like, man, this man glorifying getting people killed as of a week ago. Like, what are you doing, bro? Lil Snoop really got killed. That broke your heart. You wear him around your neck. Why are you glorifying the same thing when my best friend got killed? When Carl got killed, New Orleans know who I'm talking about. When Carl got killed, and I had to go to his funeral and read the eulogy and be part of the funeral, and I got back in my car, Sway, after the funeral, and I turned on my music, and I realized I'm listening to music that's glorifying the same stuff that just happened to my best friend. It gave me chills, and I needed that moment. That was my come to Jesus moment of like, D, you got to do something different, brother, because you have a taste for this poison, but you're attracted to the poison. And rap is great. The rap game, hip-hop industry is great at cooking up some delicious poison. Prison reform. But I got to sit here like,
Meek Mill, you could do better.
Okay. So that's what Dee-1 said. Now, I did not hear Dee-1 say disappointing grown-ups, right? And did not hear him say gray hair clout chasers, right? All I ever heard was him calling out Jim Jones and saying, Jim Jones, you can do better. Now, my sense even more changes because you got what you had coming, Dee-1. Like, you got what you had coming to you. You disrespecting these dudes and calling them disappointing grown-ups and calling them gray hair clout chasers. So you got what you had coming to you, bro. But he has a point. Like I said, when all of the deaths started happening, when all of the deaths started happening in the hip hop industry, like Young Dolph and I forget who else, but like primarily Young Dolph. When Young Dolph died, I had that same come to Jesus moment. He talks about having a come to Jesus moment. When Young Dolph died, I had that same come to Jesus moment where it's like, hold on, what am I listening to? What are they saying? What are we doing here? You know? So I had that same come to Jesus moment and I respect it. Like I said, I respect everything that he's saying. And I had a similar come to Jesus moment that made me switch up all the stuff I listen to. I don't listen to as much as that stuff as I used to because that Young Dolph dying was a turning point for me, right? But to sit here and to try to relate, or not relate, but try to cause change or bring about change by calling these dudes out. It's just not the way. Now I'm going to show you what Jim Jones said, and Jim Jones, he looked pretty serious.
I really do a lot for the people.
He talked about lyrics.
I don't care about none of that.
See, and Sway is his man. Sway is D1's man. So he's like, he talked about lyrics, and he was like, he talked about lyrics. And he's like, I don't care about none of that, right? Because the way you talked about them, he don't care about what it is that you're trying to say because of how you talked about him, lumped him in with a gray-haired clout chaser and called him a disappointing grown-up, right? You lumped him in that category. Now these dudes with these huge egos already don't respect you. But come on.
Okay.
In real life, I do a lot for the people. Miss me with the rhetoric about what I do in my music. I get money off my music. Don't tell me how to make my dollars. You gotta watch whose names you mentioning out here. You heard?
Yeah.
Because my little cousin might not like how you mention my name. You heard? And then he might want to slap a dread out your head just because he don't understand that you're using my name for fame, and he don't understand that.
Yeah. Now he says he using my name for fame because how D1 is coming off. D1 is way less famous than Rick Ross, Jim Jones, and Meek Mill, right? But D1 still has a little bit of limelight. So when he mentions these people's names who are way more famous than him, and he doesn't do it in a way that is just like he mentions their names, and he doesn't do it in a way that is tasteful or respectful of like wanting to have a conversation. He just like, you need to do better. I love you too much. You need to do better. And lumps them in with disappointing grown-ups and lumps them in with gray-haired clout chasers. Like, you don't talk like that to these dudes, man. And I'm not putting these dudes on no pedestal, but I'm like, you trying to reach the culture and you trying to reach hip-hop, you don't talk to these dudes like that.
There's a certain way to go about certain things when you're using certain people's names. When you do certain things, it's a reaction for every action.
What's the best way?
It's out now. It ain't no best way to have a conversation. He got to see me when he see me now.
See? Now, he said, it ain't no best way to have a conversation. You got to see me when you see me. So if you see Jim Jones out in the street, more than likely, he going to want to slap the taste out your mouth. He going to want to see about his issue because he got an issue with you now because you lost the way to build a bridge, to help. You lost the way, right? So let's continue on.
Okay.
You heard?
If he reached out.
He had the chance. He could have reached out. That avenue of talking to me is out.
That's out.
You heard? I had the same conversation with Farrakhan.
How did that go?
He summoned me for saying his name.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
If you know now what you're talking about, young man, let me school you to what you're doing. Well, yeah, it is music. So in a bit of music, you do get.
Yeah,
you get what you get, you heard? But we still in the entertainment business. But miss me with the bullshit, you heard? When you see me, keep your hand down, you heard? Where you from, New Orleans? Don't play with me like that. People from New Orleans already called me, you heard? You preacher, get out of here.
You say, you preacher, get out of here, right? You preacher, right? So now they joking at you because they calling you a Christian, and they joking at you because you a Christian, and they calling you preacher, right? Now they ain't got no respect for you. Like,
what was that, King?
He told?
Yeah, he told.
So we ain't gonna get into that.
I don't want to
heat him up. You snap on him?
Yeah, of course.
No.
Look like you sell incense.
We got other things we could go. But listen, I'll say this.
He look like he sell chew sticks on 2/5 by the 4th train.
Come on, let's not do that. Come on, Jim. No, but listen, what I'm saying is, I'm glad you addressed it.
Bro, he's not. Bro, let's not even talk about him. I don't even know him.
Let's move on.
I don't really care about him. He's a figment of my imagination.
Well, let me say this.
I've seen people reprimanded for less. I promise you.
Yeah,
that. Niggas will wrinkle your shirt for way less than that.
Yeah. I will say he's been putting in work for years.
Yeah.
And he's been all over the country.
Obviously not working for him because he's using other people's name. If he was doing something from his heart, he shouldn't use nobody else's name. If you've been outside doing that work.
That's it. I don't want to go back and forth. I just want y'all to know he's done work. He does work in a different area.
All right, keep doing work. You heard?
Okay.
Leave me out of that. You heard? I promise you, leave me out of that. I'm scared for anybody that bothers me. I don't want no problem. I don't want no drama. I don't want you to mention my name because I don't want no drama. I don't want to get an attitude because you mentioned my name for no reason. I don't even want to get into that.
Okay.
Yo, know I start glitching and shit like that. You heard? You got me very upset about this, bro. Let me know what you do besides preaching to the people, bro. You heard? When you want to do something positive and do something for the people instead of talking, holla at me, bro.
Right. So that was Jim Jones' whole response, right? And I seen that, and I wasn't even gonna comment on the whole thing because I've been looking at it for weeks, right? And I seen Rick Ross responded, and I seen Meek Mill responded, but this Jim Jones response was different, right? Because Rick Ross seemed a little agitated, Meek Mill seemed like he just blew it off, but this right here, Jim Jones points out the things that I wanted to talk about. So I'm not taking Jim Jones' side. Yes, Jim Jones definitely feels convicted by what Dee-1 has said and is saying, right? Because he's getting pissed off and he's joking about him and cracking jokes about him, whatever. Because he obviously what he's saying makes you feel some type of way. You're a grown man, you have an ego, and somebody saying you need to do better, and they don't know you, and they don't know your story, they don't know the half of what's behind the veil. And they say that, you obviously gonna feel the type of way, right? But when I was watching that interview and his response, he was like, there is no way to talk to me now. Like, you had the chance and you lost it, right? So that's the thing when it comes to like calling out people by name. That's why I don't like these heresy hunters that's on YouTube that watch these videos and they be calling out Mike Todd and be calling out all these preachers and they be calling out all this stuff, and they think and they believe that they're doing God's work, and they may have every intention to do God's work and things of that nature, but you burn bridges with the people who you talking about, right? You burn bridges with these people by calling them out, right? Like, if somebody were to call me out and it was distasteful and it was disgraceful and I got something wrong, instead of coming at me like a man or coming at me and respectfully saying you respectfully disagree, you would like to have a conversation, you go on a YouTube and then you put my face on something and call me a heretic or something like that. That hasn't happened, but I'm sure it probably will one day. But when, like, instead of doing that, like, instead of putting somebody's face on something and calling them a heretic or false prophet or saying something like that on these genuine people who you do not know, you ruin the chance for somebody to want to talk to you or somebody to want to have a conversation with you because you done called them out, right? And I don't think that the Bible instructs us to do that. I believe that we're supposed to call out, we're supposed to be wary of false prophets, we're supposed to be wary of false doctrines. But I think the way in which to call out the false prophet and the way in which to call out the false doctrine has nothing to do with mentioning people by name, right? The reason why I don't believe it has nothing to do with mentioning the people by name is because the people who you're calling out by name are getting influenced by something, right? So the rappers that you're calling out have glasses on and they're blinded by the lifestyle, they're blinded by the money, they're blinded by the fame, they're blinded by all these different things, and you're calling them out and saying, you're the problem, you need to grow up, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to change how your lyrics is, and they're just a product of the system. Right? So you would do better work to call out the system and to attack the system and try to push change within the system. Like, I agree when he was talking about how we have talking about the women and the glorifying of the sex and women glorifying being hoes and all stuff like that. I agree with D when he was saying that. That's, stay in that lane. Don't go into the lane of telling these rappers they need to grow up, because the same individuals that you're trying to reach, you won't have the opportunity to reach them now because you done called them out and they feel disrespected, right? So my whole thing is, I think that when it comes to the entertainment culture, when it comes to these rappers, when it comes to these singers, when it comes to these actors and actresses, these comedians that are doing things that glorify the world and glorify darkness and glorify lust and all sorts of stuff like that, I want them to change just as much as D-1 wants them to change. But the only difference is my work will continue to attack the system, right? My goal is to attack the system, because you can't fault the people for being products of the system. And that's how they feed their families. That's how they entertaining. They believe they ain't doing nothing wrong. They doing whatever. Like, you can't fault them for being blinded, They're supposed to be. They're sinners, right? They're people who don't know God. They're going to be blinded, right? You trying to get them to wake up is not you getting them to wake up by calling them out and saying that they're disappointing grown-ups. You getting them to wake up is you shed a light, using that opportunity on Sway to shed light on the system, on rapper, and say rappers are glorifying this, rappers are glorifying that, actors are glorifying this, actors are glorifying that, movies are glorifying this, movies are glorifying that. Talk about those. That's the system, right? But when you get specific and you start calling out names, people take it personal, right? And some of these dudes, they got records in the streets, right? And you being Christian, I'm not saying that you know what I'm saying, you're not from the block and you're not from the hood, so I'm sure you're not scared, but you ruining your witness with these individuals, and then you putting yourself in situations to where you could catch some strays. And that's not wise. That's not wisdom, right? And I know you're not scared, but you putting yourself in some situations where you can catch some strays, right? So I just think that the way to reach these rappers, it could be done differently. I have a heart for the culture. My content is dedicated to the culture, no matter who and what it reaches. The end goal is always to reach somebody. The beats you hear, the type of content you hear, and see, it's always meant to and done in a way that is to reach somebody who looks like me and likes the things, likes the music and likes the entertainment and stuff that I like, and who doesn't know Jesus. That's the goal, right? Everything outside of that is a plus, but that's the goal. So it hurts my heart when I see, okay, that's another rapper we lost, right? Or at least for now. That's another rapper we lost, right? I want to see some of my favorite rappers and singers and entertainers know Jesus, right? I don't know if Chris Brown knows Jesus, but I would love for Chris Brown to know Jesus. I would love for Lil Baby to know Jesus. I would love for Drewski and Desi Banks and all these people. I'm not saying that they don't, but I would love for them to, right? But the way to get those individuals who are on these high platforms, who are doing certain things, to see you and to hear what you're saying, is to talk about the system. When you talk about the system, they could look at themselves and being like, man, am I a part of the system? Man, I am a part of the system. Okay, I'm a change. But not by you directly calling them out. It's by indirectly. It's by indirect smoke. It's by indirect smoke. You give them indirect smoke, and they could look at the pot and call the kettle black. They can't be mad at you if you say, yeah, you know, rappers out here glorifying sex, money, and weed or whatever. That could be a full plethora of other rappers. So they could look at themselves and be like, oh yeah, I talk about sex, money, weed, but he ain't say my name, so okay, but I hear you. But when you get from the subject matter to mention the names, these rappers don't take kindly to names because they got egos. So I just think it could be done a different way. So you guys let me know in the comments how you feel. Do you feel like Dee-1 is right for not only calling him out, but what he is saying? Or do you feel like his approach could be different and that he's burning bridges like I think? Let me know in the comments. Good, bad, your concerns. I'll see you down in the comment section. Peace.